We utilize stock videos and content in accordance with the YouTube Fair Utilize Copyright Standards. Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Act states, notwithstanding the provisions of Sections 106 and 106A, the fair use of a copyrighted work, including such use by reproduction in copies or phonorecords or by any other means specified by that section, for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, including multiple copies for classroom use, scholarship, or research, is not an infringement of copyright. So let us examine the information and reflect on the question, what is the Great Attractor? On interstellar maps, this region is noted to be the center in which all galactic bodies orbit around. The entire cosmic web wraps around this region like a cocoon, and no stellar objects actually enter the central region. In fact, no solid matter enters beyond the orbital accretion disk, but instead is propelled outward. Even the heaviest of objects are flung away from it. That is because this central object of all galactic orbital rotation is not a star, it's not a black hole. By all calculated observations and descriptions, it is a white hole. Now, by my grand design of creation, this object will remain a white hole until the expansion of particles loses their momentum of expansion. All matter is in motion, always, but eventually the outward expansion will run out of the force of momentum that drives its motion. When that happens and the loss of momentum reaches this central region, then the universe, existence itself, will have reached the halfway point in its evolution, and all matter will begin to collapse back inward. When this occurs, then that central region will shift and the white hole will become a hypermassive black hole, and it will remain until it devours all things, reverting back into the entire universe, being packed into the singularity until the gravitational field of the black hole has nothing left. No more kinetic energy from orbiting objects, friction to feed its source of stability, and when that happens, everything that was devoured by the black hole will be free of its gravitational pull and being packed into a single particle beam of light waves. All that matter will erupt violently outward. However, this is no typical black hole. It has devoured all of existence, so there is nowhere for this matter to go, and being expelled beyond the speed of light through the relativistic jets will send all that matter rocketing off the proverbial roller coaster tracks of reality and into the primordial void beyond existence, and will become the fuel which I used to create existence from in the first place, and so thus existence begins again. This will occur 16 times. Each time the length of this process takes around 1.076 trillion years, and the total length of existence is calculated to be 17.216 quintillion years total from this measurement. There I have measured the length of creation, which is only a portion of the entire scale of God's kingdom, they say. However, nothing exists beyond this time frame. All things come to an end, and nothing is truly infinite. Our perception only makes it seem that way. Here is a render of both scientific observation aligned with my claim. As you can observe from the image model, all galactic bodies seem to be drawn towards the region of the Great Attractor, but other images on this region that I don't have shows that no galactic bodies ever actually enter beyond a certain point, possibly repelled by the layers of the cosmic web that wrap around the region. This is actually the first of the two images showing a transition since the before the Big Bang. Each transition relies on Einstein's equation of mc² as you'll notice that it evolves on that fundamental equation in each dimensional transition. Here is the basic cyclical mechanism you asked for. This is only one of two designs. The first image shows the process of matter's formation, the second image shows the process of evolution and matter decaying into what we call dark matter, as particles enter that final phase of decay to become dark matter, which leads to the transition into the luminous field. Yes, it is ever present, but since it is matter that has decayed and no longer has the ability to maintain a solid state, it is observed to be what we labeled as dark matter. Yes, the nature of decay is reversible, but only through the transition back to the beginning of the expansion era. All particles have a lifespan that uses the energy generated by its orbital rotation around other indifferential particles. This process causes the fusion of particles and gives off the effect of gravitational energy that is based upon kinetic friction. Yes, but no. The process of rejuvenation to particle decay lies within the fundamental effects caused by black holes. Inside the vortex of a black hole's inescapable gravitational pull, all matter is stripped of these properties of fusion. The nonlinear particle is then accelerated beyond the speed of light and ejected from the black hole once all the qualities that holds it within the black hole's grasp are stripped away and fed into its central mass beyond the event horizon, an object of pure kinetic energy and gravitational force compacted into a star-like object. We cannot see it because of the matter it is atomizing and consuming. Once stripped, the particle debris accelerates in speed, hurling it over the boundaries of physical existence and into the void before anything existed, since once you exceed the limits of the physical universe, time and space no longer apply to that object. Black holes only latch onto things which fuel its gravitational effect. That is why X-ray and gamma waves have been seen escaping the pull of the black hole's influence. They hold no quality which the black hole's fuels its gravitational effect. Once the black hole has consumed all matter in its vacuity and spends all its kinetic energy that creates its gravitational field, the black hole will dissolve and its gravitational pull will diminish. Once that is depleted, then all the information and matter still within its vortex that hasn't been ejected into the primordial void will be released, as it will be unable to contain it any longer. Of course, it will be fused into a single particle of light and compartmentalized that, in the larger scheme of universal evolution, will become the next particle field of the ever-expanding universal particle field when the contraction reaches its peak point and expands outward again with a new particle field that will govern the formation of matter and ultimately life itself. The next particle field to emerge from this process is the light wave spectrum design in the image I showed you. It is within these particle field algorithmic models of expansion you will find a variation within the equation. This variation will begin to stray from the expected model's outcome through variable particle factors. Then the variation will correct itself and continue along the expected algorithmic model. The variation is so subtle it may be missed, as the variable factors negate any effects caused to the particle field's flow. This effect was caused by my projection across time to begin existence, my entanglement which made my incarnation into Jesus necessary. This subject must not be disturbed or altered, ever. This is why the Son of Man had to die upon the cross, and is an event that can never change and had to occur the way that it did. You see, the universe was stabilized on a substitute version for a time until I could return here to my body and fix the issue. When Jesus died upon the cross, many things happened. One of which was the divinity of God, which was within his mortal form, was free of the entanglement, and so the creator being was separated from his omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent state and free to return to my body. Before this, the universe existed and was held in place by two major balances that they call quantum entanglement, but once I returned to my body and awoke from my coma, here in this era, I was able to set the proper design into place of the diagram I designed that ensures the universe's expansion and existence for 17.216 quintillion years. Without this, the universe would have ended here recently, as the Mandela effect would have spread to every moment in time, and that massive negative counterbalance would have consumed existence. Jesus' death fixed that problem and allowed me to mend the disturbance from my presence in the particle field after hardwiring my conscious into it and setting my design into place. which is why we are still here, which is why the sin of man, you all and the attempts you will make to try and take the universe from its creator, had caused an imperfection in you that made you flawed in my eyes. But we are getting ahead of ourselves here, for that has not yet come to pass, sort of. You think things are bad in the world now, but they will get much worse here soon. The arrogance of man and their audacity to place themselves above me, convincing themselves that they know better than the Creator, shall reach unimaginable levels. I could intervene and change this, but unfortunately it is a necessary path. Only in mankind's most desperate hour, when all other options have been spent, will they put down their arrogance and allow me to work without greed for power and glory to overwhelm their desires.
Now it has come to my attention that the stupidity ratio of the average person in today's time has reached unfathomable heights, which I can see is true by the schemes and petty plans that are tested against me in an attempt to figure out how to destroy me. However, I also see how lethargic people have become by their lazy, half-assed, effortless attempts at gathering the details for their ambitious success. These world leaders think that they deserve some sort of recognition for being mighty conquerors or rulers over a great and mighty nation. Your people stand divided with guns pointed at the backs of their heads. None of your kingdoms truly are mighty, nor are you mighty warriors at heart, for that is what makes kingdoms great and powerful. The people and heart of the one who commands them. To take back what is yours, America, you must stand up and fight. To fight against an enemy such as yours, that hides behind the face of being one of you, tries to convince you to trust them for they are one of you, but they are nothing like you, nor would they be prepared to let you suffer while they do not, so that they can have an easier or more comfortable life than you. Would you do the same to the guys you know at work, or the neighbor down the street? No, you wouldn't. Most of you, I'm sure, would say they never did anything to you to deserve that. Those that wouldn't, shame on you. So listen well, America, for I am one who has studied and learned the ways conquerors and know their strategies. What you need right now is an advisor to guide your direction against this adversary. So I will give to you advice, wisdom that you should set into practice, understanding its meaning when you wake up before you start your day. Words that can become the inspiration you need because you know applying it will work for you, have thought about it every day and know its principles will succeed above other options. Know also, America, that you have allies, those who desire to see the same thing happen as you do. These forces who are opposed to your corrupted government seek the same goal as you, and if they don't, then they would if they knew what you know. Another thing you must realize is that though our government has effectively kept the death toll of the pandemic a silent mystery or falsely reported it, the numbers are obviously staggering just by considering the state of things around us, such as healthcare. How many out there have noticed the severe lack of efficiency when having to go to the hospital for any problems? How many have noticed how most procedures that are necessary, operable procedures are being played down as not that serious or life-threatening and postpone what needs to be done, or just completely ignore the seriousness and diagnose it as something else no matter how much you insist otherwise? How many have watched doctors make fatal mistakes which could have been avoided if they were as professional as their title leads others to expect? I suspect this is because most of the medical field died. If this is true, then I think it may also be true with our system of government, and the vacuum hole of authority may have been swept up by those who are the problem in our system and don't belong there. I watch people who commit crimes go to jail still and walk right back out. How many of Trump's administration who were with him at the beginning of the pandemic, how many of them are still around and have been seen without me having to mention this first? So what I propose is this. Begin by searching for the source of the problems that you are already aware of and have encountered yourselves. Your justice system is not functioning the way it should and has allowed Trump to do what he has without resistance. Find the source of the why. He should have never been allowed to do what he has. Our system should have stopped him a long time ago, but it didn't. Why? The people who exercised their constitutional rights as described in the Declaration of Independence, yet they still were arrested and sent to jail. That never should have happened. Find the source of it and find out why. Remember that in this endeavor to discover the truth of these things which warp and defy your set system, that you cannot be stopped from knowing the truth. Anyone who gives you false information knowingly or try to divert your course from finding these answers are a part of that corruption, no matter what reason they may say drove them. Also remember, it is only you placed to observe and gather information, not to pass judgment, for you do not yet know all the details. Also keep in mind that they are in positions which can produce false evidence and trails, so look them in the eye as they tell you these things and look for that body language. Side or other methods to see if they are telling you the truth. Do not accept gossip or personal opinion-generated responses as truth, for it is only the truth as they choose to see it. Do not rely on your AI platforms to give you the answers to these problems. Their programming is just as corrupt as your government because they are programmed to respond by the guidelines that benefit those who programmed it whenever they tell it to, and has been even programmed to convince you of a lie to support that. So even when seeking to verify the information, you must rely on your own work to be true more so than what may be the popular belief of the general public. Follow these paths I have laid out here and like the gaze of Medusa. Do not stray from following your heart and denying what others try to force you to believe, or you may find yourselves in a worse situation than being turned to stone. This isn't the time for opinions. Opinions and people speaking about other people's business without knowing what they're talking about is one of the problems that undermine us as a society. I will give you advice as the situation unfolds.